Hi, welcome to this video tutorial on Adobe Spark. My name is Andy and I run Andy's Tech Tutorials. I'm going to teach you how to use Adobe Spark to create some social media graphics or graphics for your website. Adobe Spark is fast becoming one of the most commonly used tools for creating things like YouTube thumbnails, banners for Instagram or for Twitter, or basically anything that you kind of see on social media. The great thing about the application is it's available online or also on mobile apps for Android and iOS, and it's completely free to use. There is a paid version where you get some additional premium features, but today I'll be showing you how to use the free basic account. So everything that I can do, you'll be able to do with a completely free account. In this particular tutorial, I'll take you through how to create your free Adobe Spark account. We'll take a look at the interface, how it's laid out, how all of the options work and where they're located. We'll take a look at creating a new project, so using either a template that already exists, so remixing that, or creating one from scratch. As well as that, we'll take a look at some basic editing techniques in Adobe Spark Post, so things such as using the color palette options, choosing a layout, perhaps bringing in some images, adding some text, and maybe working with icons. After that, we'll then take a look at how you can export your finished project or design, so how you can download it for then using on the web or for social media, and how to share it with other people. And then what we'll do is we'll finish with looking at how to manage your projects, because over time you'll begin to have quite a lot of projects within Adobe Spark. So we'll take a look at how you can create folders, how you can move your projects into specific folders, and of course how to delete anything that you no longer need. So if you're excited about this, then please do keep watching, and I hope you find Adobe Spark as useful as I have over the years that I've been using it. Now, the first thing to mention with Adobe Spark is, as I mentioned earlier, it's available as an online tool or also as a application on your mobile device. We're going to look at the web app today, or the web version, but the main thing to note is with Adobe Spark there's actually three different programs. So we have Spark Post, which is for social media graphics, and that's what we're going to use today. There is Spark Page, which is for creating kind of basic websites or newsletters as such, and I have another video tutorial explaining how to use that. And there's Spark Video, which is a very quick and easy to use basic video editing tool. So there's three different tools available, but we will be focusing on Adobe Spark Post in this particular tutorial. Now what we're going to create is something that looks like this, and I've kept this one very basic, but actually in creating this you'll use a range of techniques. So you'll be defining your artboard size, you'll be creating your new project, you'll be adding some text, you'll be changing the text properties to create this kind of cutout effect you see here between the lettering. We'll be adding an image to the background, we'll maybe apply a grayscale effect to that, and I'll show you other effects that are available. But we'll also be then taking this and changing the colours that we see. So the shape we've used here for the cutout effect, we'll change that to this yellow colour. And then what we'll do is we will download our finished piece of artwork, and I'll show you, as I mentioned earlier, how to manage your projects so that you can just keep them all in an organised fashion. So it may look very simple, but the idea here is not to teach you how to become a designer, but really to teach you how to use Adobe Spark to create content that you can then publish to your social media channels. So let's take a look at how to create your Adobe Spark account. So I've headed here to Adobe Spark's main website. All I did is simply search Google for Adobe Spark, but you can also find the link in the description below. All I need to do is click on the Start Now button, and it will ask me how I want to create my Adobe Spark account. Now you'll see on the left hand side there's a range of different methods. If you've already got an Adobe Creative Cloud license, then you'll be able to make use of Spark and Spark's premium features by logging in here. Most people though will probably use the sign up with email option you see on the left hand side there. Once you click on that, it will ask you to put in some information about you, so an email address, your first name, last name, password, date of birth, and the country or region where you belong. Then you need to click on the Create Account option, And the next thing it will ask you to do is just to pick some of the topics that you're most interested in so that it can generate some templates for you to work with. So you select maybe 2 or 3 things, click continue, and then you will be taken in to Adobe Spark, which looks like this. Let's take a look at how the interface is laid out. So first of all, this SP button at the top left, anytime you click on this, will return you to the home page. So when you're actually working on your designs, this is the button you'll use to return back to this home page you see here. You've got sometimes this little shield. This basically lets you know that that feature is locked down. It's for premium account holders only. So if there's anything that has a shield next to it, you'll not be able to use that feature unless you have a premium account. The center here we have the option to search for templates, which we'll come back to when we're creating our new piece of artwork. You've got a banner at the top here which just highlights some key messages or key information or training offerings from Adobe to do with Adobe Spark. Then you've got announcements here, so if there's anything which is perhaps a new piece of software or an update from Adobe for Adobe Spark, it will be visible in here. And you've got some general account settings as well. The little notification bell will pop up if, for example, somebody shares a piece of artwork with you. You'll be notified in there and you'll be able to sometimes work collaboratively on that piece of artwork. Down the left hand side, home takes you back to here. It's the same as just clicking on the SP button. You'll always be able to return to this home area here. Projects is where any projects which you have created or had shared with you will appear, and we'll work on project management at the end of this tutorial. Brands is an area where you can create a custom brand so that you can apply the same color choices or maybe a custom logo or text choices and font choices across lots of your designs for consistency. So you can work with brands, but you will need to have a premium account to be able to use these. Libraries is another offering where basically you can create your own library, and then what you can do is you can pull in images or designs from your library when you're actually working on your particular design. So for example, if you've got multiple images you're going to use across multiple designs, rather than having to upload them to Spark every time you're working on a design, you can create a library with those, and then you can just pull the images in from your library as well. So first of all, let's take a look at how to create a design in Adobe Spark from a template. So if you're somebody like me who's not a designer by any stretch of the imagination, then using the templates can be a great way of finding something that looks really nice, making a few tweaks and turning it into your own for social media. The great thing is you can use templates completely free of charge for commercial and non-commercial projects, and you don't need to worry about any copyright infringement. So anything that's been uploaded to there, you are able to use. It is worth noting though that some of the templates within the templates library are actually premium, so they're locked down to premium account holders only. But for example, if I run a search for, let's say, travel, then we can get all of these different travel search terms here, and I'll just run for travel itself. And then you'll see we have lots of different templates which have appeared. So let's say, for example, I like this one here. Because it's got the shield next to it, I won't be able to use this because it's a premium template. However, this template is one that I can use. So if I click on it, then it tells me how many people have remixed it, how many people have used it. And if I like it and want to use it, all I do is click on Create from this template, and it will open up in Adobe Spark and allow me to basically reuse this one and recycle it. So I'm going to do this very, very quickly. Don't worry about how quickly I'm editing this, but I will show you in more detail how to actually do all of these things shortly. So you'll see, for example, I might want to replace this image here with an image from, let's say, New York. So I'll run a search for that. I'll click on my image, you'll see it will then replace that one in that box with my New York image. I'll do the same for this one here, so I'll replace it with another New York image. So I'll just choose this one of the taxi, or the cab should I say. And the nice thing is, because this particular template has used grayscale images, in doing this it's actually keeping the images which I'm bringing in grayscale as well, and you'll see it's sizing them correctly to these boxes. So I'll just do one more. So one more for New York. Let's say, for example, this one with the viewfinder. Now this time you'll see I've accidentally not replaced, I've brought the image in. So I'm just going to undo that one. I'm going to click on the box, make sure I use replace, and hopefully this one will now appear in this particular box like it has there. Now there's a couple of other things I might want to do here. So I might want to change the text that you see here. So what we can do is we can see the text, and I can maybe just change to a slightly different font, maybe make this one twice the size. So we can maybe make this one 80. And then of course my name's not Daisies, so I'm going to put something like Andy's New York City Adventure, and of course because that looks quite big I might just resize that. So you can see I've done that very quickly. Okay, so I've not spent a great deal of time doing that, but I've taken an existing template, made a few changes to it, and what I'll do is I'll just download this one so you can see, and we'll open that up, and here we have Andy's New York City Adventure design there. Very quick and easy using an existing template. Now what we want to do today is we want to create this, and I'm going to create it from scratch. So to do that I'm going to jump back into Adobe Spark, and I'm just going to click on the SP, and then everything I show you from now will be from scratch rather than using templates. But just so you can see, if I go into projects, that design we just worked in has actually now appeared there. So there was no clicking save or save as, it has saved the project within there. It gives it the name My Post by default, but I'll show you how you can change that shortly. So let's go back to home just now. You'll see here it tells you that there's lots of different artboards available. This is one of the best things about Adobe Spark. You can create a design based on where the design is going, and you know it will be correctly sized. So for example, if you're designing for Facebook and doing a Facebook post, the dimensions for a Facebook post will be different to those of an Instagram post or a YouTube thumbnail or a YouTube channel art piece. So what you want to do is you want to pick the correct artboard for where your design is going. The easiest way to get started and create your own design from scratch, instead of using these, is to go up to the blue plus at the top left. And then what I like to do is avoid all of these different ones that it shows here, and I like to just go to custom size graphic. This will then present you with a screen where you can choose your artboard. Now it defaults to custom because we were choosing a custom size graphic, but you can go to popular and you can see they've got all the different sizes for any of the most popular social media applications. So we've got square, which is a ratio of 1:1. We have Instagram story, which is 1080 by 1920, so it's taller than it is wide. And you'll see Facebook and YouTube thumbnail, they look very similar, but there's a subtle difference between the two in terms of height and width. You can go to social post, and then you'll see there's even more here. So we can toggle through those using the more buttons. For print, there's various print sizes. Social profile, so these are more for your profile pages on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, etc. And there's a few more there. And then standards, your standard kind of sizes, so widescreen, portrait, banner, that sort of thing. I'm going to go into custom though, and I'm going to enter a custom width of 1920 by 1080. So this is just a standard kind of like a widescreen size for maybe like a website banner or something like that. So you can change it from pixels to millimeters or inches. I'll go for pixels, and then all I'll do is click next, and it's going to create my artboard for me to then put my content. Now the first thing it always does is it always opens up the templates menu, but you can close that down by clicking on templates and it will minimize it. Before we start editing this particular post, let's take a look at the interface now that we're in the edit view. So as I mentioned earlier, if you click on this SP button at any time, it will take you from here back to the main home page, and it will save at that point. It tells you here that your design is being saved in the projects area, and it calls it by default My Post. Now if I want to change that, all I do is put in my name, so I'm going to put NYC Design, and I'll click away, and it will now save the file name of this design as NYC design. These buttons here are undo and redo. They're not active just now because we haven't made any changes to our design, but once we start adding content, we will be able to undo and redo. One thing to note with these, if you close the browser or return to the main home page, they will save at that point, and when you reopen your design, you won't be able to undo and redo your previous edits. You'll start afresh basically. So that's just something to be aware of. There's an option here to add a collaborator, so you can add someone else to be able to edit your designs. We'll be using the download and share options later on. And then you've got various options on the left and right of the screen. Now these are all dynamic, so when you click on something, the relevant menu or the related menu will pop up. So for example, when I click on the background here, we get the edit background menu popping up. If I go into colors, you'll see we've got the colors options, we can go into background. So as I click through these, there are quite a lot of options, and we're going to make use of those in this particular tutorial. One thing I like to do at the beginning, after I've given my project a name, is I like to remove this watermark. So I'm going to click on it, and then you'll see it tells you can remove it once. If I click remove once, it takes it out, and then it shows me this menu here where we can find out more about creating other designs or signing up to an Adobe Spark Premium account. But if I click on the cross, you'll see it allows us to remove the watermark from our design. And in my experience, you can remove it from as many designs as you want, even if you're on a free account. Lastly is down the bottom you have the viewfinder, so you can zoom out and you can zoom in. You can click on this option to change the zoom from 75% for example to 100. My personal preference is usually to work at about 50 so I can see everything on the canvas or the artboard. The final thing to note is if you left click and drag, that's for making a selection. That doesn't help though if you've zoomed into the artboard. So what you need to do to be able to move around is you need to press the space bar, and that will allow you to click and drag. So when the hand appears, you can basically drag yourself around the canvas. Now what I'll do is I'll drop the zoom back to 50%, and we've got this view here. Final thing to note is everything that's in the white area is your design. Everything in the grey area on the outside is outside of your artwork and will not be included. If you've clicked on anything and brought up one of the menus, all you need to do is click in the grey area, and that will close that menu down and deselect anything that you've currently got selected. So earlier we created this artboard based on a 1920 by 1080 layout. If we decide we want to change that before we create content, we can go into the resize menu, and then you'll see you can choose a different artboard. So let's say for example I decided actually instead of this I want to do let's see, a Snapchat story. I can simply choose that and it will update the artboard. If I don't like what I've done there, I can go back to the original image, or I can use the undo button and will now undo that. Okay, so you can change this at any point, even once you've added your design, but just be a bit careful when you do that, because sometimes if you go, for example, portrait layout to landscape or vice versa, it will move everything around and it may not look quite as you'd expect it or would like it to look. So my general advice is always try to pick the right artboard at the beginning when you're creating your design. So we've created our artboard just now. It has saved because every single time you make a change, the browser will save your project. So let's first of all change the background color here. So you'll see if I click on the background, we get the option to either change the color of the background or to apply an image to it. If I click on this color option here, then we have the current palette, so we get a range of colors offered by the palette, or what we can do is we can either use more and pick a color from here, or we can use custom and we can define a color ourselves. So we can pick, maybe if I go for this light green color, you'll see I can move this around and pick a color that suits. You'll notice you can also enter your hex values if you want as well. So if there's a certain color you want to work with, you can paste in the 6-digit code and that will allow you to use that color for your background. I'm going to click off of this though, and what I want to do is just go into colors, and you'll see that we have the current color palette here, but there's a wide range of colors available and palettes available. So let's say for example we like this one. If I click on it, what it will do is it will allow me to then define that as my palette, and I can shuffle through the elements which are on the artboard and change the colours. So you'll see here as I shuffle, the background is now light blue. If I had a piece of text on there and I shuffled, it might have a dark blue background now with grey text, or it may make the text light blue, or it may make it white. So shuffling will take all of the objects on the artboard and will basically change the colours of them based on the palette. Now if for example you like this palette, but you just don't like this one colour, you can click on this option here to change the colour, and then you can choose the swatch and then make a change and update that swatch. So if I now like that one, all I do is click off, and we have now adjusted this palette to have a slightly different colour at the end. Again, if I shuffle through, it will choose one of these swatches and apply it to the content on the artboard. In this particular tutorial though, I'm not really going to use this, I'm just going to choose colours myself, but I wanted to highlight where the colour palettes can be found, because when you do click on something such as this background here, we are using colours from the colour palette. And actually, I might use this yellow later on. Instead of using a colour for the background though, let's go to choose image, and you'll see on the left hand side we now get the photo menu opening, and it allows me to either search for photos or upload photos from our computer. Now I don't have any computer images to use just now. I'm going to use the Find Free Photos option, and what I love about this, as you saw earlier, you can run a search for free to use images, both commercially and non-commercially, from the website Pixabay. So if you've never been on Pixabay, it's an incredibly useful website full of over 2.5 million images, videos, which are all high quality, open licensed, and can be used commercially or non-commercially. So if you're looking for somewhere for stock images, this is definitely worth considering. But this is where, when we run a search, our images will come from. I am going to apply a background image here. So because I've clicked on my background and used the choose image option, now when I locate an image in here, such as this one, it will apply that to my background for me. So we now have an image of New York City here. If I decide I don't like this one and want to change it, what I need to do is to click on the image to select it, then go back to replace, and then find another image to use. So in this instance I'm going to choose this one, and you will see it will update that image. Now what I can do is I can change how this image looks. So I no longer need the photo menu, so I'll just minimize that to close it down. And I'm going to hold the space bar and drag the mouse just to zoom in and move around a little bit so I can see what I want to work with here. So what I'm thinking for this image is perhaps I would like to zoom in a little bit. So to zoom on the image, all you do is drag this size option, and you'll see it allows you to zoom in. Now, because if we look at my artboard here, let me go to 50%, because we've zoomed in, we're losing a little bit of this building here. So for me to show more of the Empire State Building, I'm just going to hold the image, left click, and drag down slightly, and then we can see more of it there. If I need to zoom back out, no problem, I can zoom back out, and there we have the image back again. You can also flip images, so you can flip on horizontal using this option, and now we've got the viewfinder on the right hand side, or we can put it back and we can flip vertically, so you have the buildings upside down. You can also rotate images too, so you can rotate anywhere between 180 degrees both sides, and if I need to I can put that back to 0 just to reset it. Now you'll see it has zoomed in slightly there, so I will have to zoom back out to return the image to how it was before. There are various effects for images as well, so you can apply a filter, for example. Now when you click here it will just put the filter on, but you can click on the drop down and then you can see further options. So duotone, for example, will give me multicolours here. We can do grayscale, or we can do ones like darken, and you'll see with darken it gives you the shuffle option, so you can cycle through darker, lighter, lighter, and you can get darker and darker. Or there's the same for lighter, you can lighten an image multiple times. For this one though, I'm going to just use grayscale. I'll minimize this and I'll show you there are other options in enhancements, So very much like Instagram, you can go through and you can completely enhance your image, so you can make lots of different changes to it. So maybe I just want to drop the brightness and saturation on this one, and maybe the contrast as well. So you see as I make some changes here, it's making very, very slight changes, but we have made some edits. The final one is you can also blur an image. So you'll see here you can blur from full blur to maybe just the tiniest little bit of a blur. I'm going to turn it off though, because I don't want the image to be blurred at all. So that's how we can add an image to the background for our artwork, and how we can change some of the options and apply some basic effects to our image. Next, let's take a look at how we can add some text to our image. So the text option is found on the left hand side. We can click on text. You get some templates that you can use. So if you like a template that exists in here, if it doesn't have the shield and you're on a free account, you can use it. If it's got the shield, it is a premium template and you won't be able to use it. But essentially all you do is find one you like. Let's say for example this one, click on it, and it will apply that to the canvas. Now of course it's using the colours from this colour palette, but that's not a problem. We can customize the text and we can choose our own font, our own colour, and obviously change the text that's displayed. Now you'll see I've brought this text in. If I want to move it around, all I do is click on it, and this time to move its position I don't hold the space bar, because we're not trying to move around the whole canvas, we're just moving the individual piece of text. So I can click and drag to move it, and you'll see when I release, if I release in the centre, we get these little purple markers coming up, which just let me know if we're aligned in the middle. So I'll get there eventually. Might see it better on the horizontal here, but they will basically appear whenever we're aligned in the middle, such as this. If you want to, you can resize your text, so I'll show you the other way to resize in a second, but you can drag from the corner points to resize as well. Only downside with doing this is it locks the opposite corner, so it's not resizing from the center. So if I had that nicely aligned, I might have to readjust it just to get it back to where it was. Final thing here is if you want to delete that piece of text, you can either just select it and press the delete key, or you'll see you've got these options up here. So this one's to duplicate the text, which creates a copy like this, or you can use delete and that will delete it. So I'll select this text, press delete, and that will delete it for me. Instead of using one of these templates, I want to use add your text. So I'm going to choose this, and then I need to put in my text in here. So I'm going to type in capitals, New York City. You'll see here we have New York City, it's on 3 different lines. I want this to all be on the same line. So what I need to do is I need to drag this middle point along, it extends the box, and it will allow me to have that on one line. From here, I'm going to just move it to the center. So you'll see there's my horizontal alignment, and then I might need to go a bit along to the left, and I've now got vertical. Next thing I want to do is I want to apply some styling to this. So the first thing is the font. You can change your font from this menu here, and it gives you nice previews, which is handy. So you'll see there's lots on offer. If I choose this one, for example, it will change the font, but you'll see it's quite a bit smaller. So now instead of resizing from the corner point, because I've got this aligned in the middle, I'm going to come over to here and I'm going to type in my size. So I'll try 300. That's quite good, but I can maybe make that a bit bigger. Let's try 350. There we go. And then what we can do is you can left align, center or right. We're centrally aligned, so that's okay. You'll see in here there's further options. You can curve your text, for example. Take a wee second, but we could curve it. Could do like a inverted semicircle, and you can do things like have text on the side, or you can do capitalize and fit, which will take all text which is lowercase, put it into capitals and squash it within your box. I don't want any of these, so I just want it as I had it. So I'm just going to undo those 2 changes that I made using the undo option at the top, and it will take me back to here. You'll see you can also choose the spacing option. So if I want to space the letters wider, I could have them much wider spaced, or back to 0. So in this instance, I might just go for something like maybe 5. So we keep a little bit of spacing there. Next thing is you can change your color of the text. So if I choose color here, you'll see I can apply either a palette color, or I can choose from down here. I'll apply the orangey color just so you can see how it works. Now what you can do is you can actually click next to your main style on Add Highlight Style, and this allows you to create a secondary style which you can apply to pieces of text. So I could maybe make this one a different color, and you'll see any words that I click on will now have that secondary style, and we can do things like we can change the font for those particular words as well. So secondary styles are quite useful. Anything within the two markers will have that style applied. But if I want to delete it, I just click delete highlighting style, and it puts us back to how we were before. Final thing I want to highlight for your text is if you want, you can apply a style. So it can be a range of shapes, it can be shadows, it could be outlines. If you don't know what you want and you want to just have it randomized for you, you can click on find a new style, and you'll see it will basically shuffle through everything and edit the text, and then eventually you might find something you quite like. In this case though, I'm going to undo that, and I'm just going to go back to how I had it before, which I believe was this one here, and I'm going to apply a shape. So I'll toggle the shape menu on, and then you'll see we can have a shape color. So this is a standard backing shape which we can then choose from this menu. And you can do things like you can change its size, so we can make it much bigger. We could change the colour of the backing shape. Let's say we wanted a blue and a yellow. Or what you can do is you can mask the text, which will basically cut the text out and leave the shape. So we could do something like that, and if we wanted to, we could maybe then apply our colour there. I'll undo this one just for now. I'll go back into the shape menu, and I'm going to use this one, which will basically cover the entire image with a shape, and then it will allow me to cut out the text. So in here what I can do is I can now change the shape to that orangey colour or yellow colour. We can't see much of this here, so I might want to try maybe putting these onto different lines, see if any more of the city can be seen. Now in this case, if I'm not too keen because we can't really tell it's New York, what I can do is I can click on the background here, which is allowing me to select the image. I can then go up to replace, and I can find another image that basically says New York more than this one. So for example, we could try this one here. We'll apply that there, and then I may need to zoom in a little bit, and you can see we can now see the One World Trade, so we can move that around and we could position that in there. Other things that you can do when you select your text, in this case we can apply shadows to it. So you'll see you can put a little shadow around it. It's not terribly clear, but it does have a shadow effect on it. There you go, a little bit easier to see now. And you can do things like you can change the direction of the shadow or the spacing from the lettering. So there's a lot of different options available. But with any of these, if you turn them off, they just basically disappear. And of course you can outline text as well. So this just draws a little shape around it. So it's worth playing about until you find something you really like the look of. In this case, final thing I might do here is just maybe make it slightly bigger so that we can see more of the image and more of the text here. There are lots of other options in Adobe Spark that you can make use of, such as design assets to go in the background. You can get backgrounds here. So if we didn't want to use the image, we could use one of these. And there's things like icons as well. So you can basically run a search in here. So if I search for New York, you'll see that there's probably some images in here related to New York, such as this one here. And if I really wanted to, I could bring them in just by clicking on them. And then you can color the icons as well. So you'll see it's up to you if you want to bring icons in and then color them and then resize them. Maybe this one would be better suited to using a black. And this allows you to become really quite creative, so you could make a sort of cityscape all based on these icons and then overlay with text. But I could maybe just leave that there for now for this particular design. Final thing I want to show you with regards to our actual design here is you can apply some animation to your text. So we've got a kind of static image at this point, but what you can do is you can go into animation and you can animate either your text or your image by using the animation options. And what this does is it creates an MP4 file, a video file that you can then upload. So this is a typewriter one, You could use the dynamic effect here, just changes how things appear. So we've got New York City and it shows the full image below it. Or you can use this kind of flicker one. So there's lots of different text animation options here. And you've also got various options for photo animation as well just below. If you decide you don't want an animation, all you do is click none and you'll see it returns it back to the default view. When it comes to now downloading or sharing your particular file, if you go to share, there is an option to publish it. So you can publish this to the web, it will host it on Adobe servers, and then you can send the link to the person you perhaps want to review it. There's an invite option, so if you go to invite, you can put in the information about the person you want to send a link to, so you can either copy a link, or what you can do is you can put an email address of the recipient in. They'll then get an email saying you've been invited to view or edit this artwork, and if they want to edit, they'll need to create an Adobe Spark account, but they can then edit your artwork. The other option is just to download. So if I go to download, I can download a PNG file, a JPEG or a PDF. I'll just go for JPEG in this instance, click start download, and in 2 seconds it will download my file, which I can then open, and there we have it there. Now sometimes you may find if it's a little bit grainy, you've maybe zoomed in a little bit too far to the image, so you can adjust that if you need to by simply going back into Spark, clicking on the image, and then maybe just, in this case I'll zoom out just a little bit further. When you're happy with your design and you've downloaded it, let's have a look at how to manage your files. So I'm going to go back to here, SP. Now remember, when I do this, any undo or redo options will now revert back to the default. So I'm going to click back there, and then you will see if I go to projects, my artwork appears in here. So there is my design. If I want to rename it, all I need to do is either click on the name here or go to the 3 dots when I hover over the image, and we have rename. So NYC design, I'm going to put yellow, press return. And then what I might want to do is I might want to use a duplicate option, which allows me to create a copy which I can then perhaps share with other people. So I'll use duplicate, and I'm going to call this one black. Duplicate. It's now creating a copy, and this is how I tend to work if I've got designs that I'm sharing with other people. I usually create a copy of them so that they're not editing the original one. Then if I want to edit this one, I just click edit project, and it will take me back in, and I can make a simple change to this. So let's say, for example, instead of black, I want to color this icon white, and I want to make this, instead of using the text and having the orange shape, I'm going to make it a black shape. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'll just go back to SP, back into projects, and you'll see the updated version is in here. Now it doesn't look like it's updated just now, but it will have, don't worry about that. So we have 3 different pieces of artwork here just now. You'll see before I make a new folder, I can go into the 3 dots and I have an option to download or to delete. So if I download, it will download a copy of this as a JPEG or PNG file. If I click on delete, it will delete it, and there's no way to retrieve it. So if you do decide to delete, make sure you definitely want to delete the file. Let's create a new folder to put these designs in. So I'm going to go to the new folder option up here, and I'm going to call this one New York Designs. Click create. It will then create that new folder at this level here. And what I'm going to do is, there it is there, I'm going to move these files in. So if it's one file you want to move, you go to the 3 dots, you click on move, and then you choose your folder. You need to click on it to go into it, and then you click move here, so we're moving inside the New York Designs. But if it's 2 files, what you can do is you can check top left, you can go to this option here, which used to be the new folder option. You can choose your folder, and you can move to here, and you can also create a new folder at this point if you want to. So I'll move it to here, and we've now moved all 3 of our designs into the new projects New York Designs area. Now I'll just head back to the home page, and you'll see you can also see your designs under your recent projects. If you want to see all of your projects that you're working on, go into projects and then go to recent, and you'll see the big long list of everything that you have worked on. It's really important to learn how to manage your files in Spark, because everything you create in either Spark Post, Spark Page or Spark Video will be put into this Your Projects area. So I would definitely recommend getting used to creating files and folders and then moving them into those particular folders, because it makes it a lot easier to manage all of your content. Anyway, that brings me to the end of this tutorial. Of course, there's a lot more you can do with Adobe Spark, and I do have other videos, and I will be creating other videos as features are added and things change. But for now, I hope this was a good enough overview and tutorial for any of you who are beginners and new to using Adobe Spark. It's an incredibly powerful and really useful tool for social media graphics, and it's used by millions of people now. All of the content you see on social media, or a huge amount of it, will be created in quick and easy to use tools like this. If you found it useful, please do like this video. Feel free to comment below, share any work or ideas you've been working on, any tools that you use. And of course, if you've not already subscribed, I'd love it if you could subscribe to my channel. Feel free to do so, and remember to click on that bell so that you're notified about any future releases. But thanks again for watching this tutorial, and good luck using Adobe Spark.